This podcast highlights key findings of the financial audit report for the Ministry of Health in Kenya. This was carried out by the Institute of Economic Affairs in 2019. The study covered 3 consecutive financial years from 2013-14 through 2015 using the annual publications of the reports of the Auditor General. The ministry is one of the vital dockets with a critical role in the attainment of the constitutional right of the provision of quality healthcare to all Kenyans. Budget implementation reports by the Office of the Controller Budget indicate that the ministry is among the highly funded at the national level, and its expenditure has been on the upward trend over these financial years. Its actual expenditure increased from 28 billion shillings in 2013-14 to 38 billion shillings in 2014-15, and then it rose to 42.3 billion shillings in 2015-16. In terms of audit opinion, in 2015-16, the Ministry of Health was awarded a qualified opinion. This was a similar opinion it received in the previous financial year, and it reveals a constant performance. However, we note that this was an improvement from 2013 when the ministry was awarded an adverse opinion. Looking at the total number of violations, findings show that there were 42 violations in 2013-14, which decreased to 20 in the following year. But in 2015-16, there was a rise to 35 violations. Across the years, the key violations that were identified mainly relate to lack of supporting documents, failure to reconcile books of accounts, and long outstanding debts. Total amount relating to these violations was 17.5 billion shillings in 2013-14. This represents 63% of the expenditure in that year, while in the following year, the total amount violated was 13.9 billion shillings. This represents 36% of the total expenditure. In the final financial year, the total amount spent, contrary to the financial rules and regulations, was 17.2 billion Kenyan shillings, representing 42% of the total expenditure. This therefore means that the quantity of money is at risk because of the regular violations, thus not meeting the constitutional threshold as set out in Article 229, subsection 6 of the Constitution of Kenya. In our analysis, we also assessed the violations that remain unresolved in the prior years. This revealed an increasing trend. For instance, in 2013-14, 19% of the violations remain unresolved. This increased to 20% in the following year and then worsened to 23% in 2015-16. A case in point in which there were unresolved issues is that of Global Alliance Vaccine and Immunization, Gavi, a project which had a deficit of 2.6 million shillings that was cleared in 13-14 without supporting documents. In the circumstances, it was not possible for the Auditor General to confirm the validity of the transactions. A disclaimer of opinion was thus expressed and the violation remained unresolved till 2015-16. As we've noted, it is evident that the Ministry of Health has failed to fully observe financial rules and regulations that of course seek to ensure lawfulness and effectiveness in the utilization of public funds. This has in turn resulted in the wastage or suboptimal utilization of public resources. To what extent then could have the country benefited had the funds been utilized properly? So in terms of opportunity cost, in the financial year 2013-14, the ministry spent 34 million shillings on consultancy services, which was used for the reinforcement of 15 health facilities in the northern part of Kenya. The audit findings reveal that the expenditure had not been budgeted for, nor was parliamentary approval and consultancy report availed for audit review. Since the expenditure was made without delivery of services, there was no value for money. The amount is adequate to purchase over 42,000 special insecticide-treated mosquito nets for prevention of malaria, which is among the leading causes of deaths in that part of the country. Then what comes out as key messages is that 1. Most audit violations relate to poor management of financial records. This is largely within the control of the accounting officers. Secondly, there is recurrence of certain violations which reveal weaknesses in the internal control systems, and this calls for capacity assessments to be carried out before the allocation of public funds. Thirdly, we note that there is large expenditure being violated, and this signals the risk at which the public funds are prone or susceptible to be expended in unlawful and an effective manner. In conclusion, we hope that this podcast has helped illuminate some of the key findings in the Ministry of Health as far as utilization of funds is concerned. The Institute of Economic Affairs is committed in scaling this research and involving key stakeholders to enhance the understanding of the Auditor General reports. With the understanding, we hope that the citizens will be able to engage the key policymakers from a more informed perspective.